I got nothing. Do you have financials or anything?
My printer broke down,
Okay.
but there's nothing to, I did a summary of.
No, I saw the end. If
got
you
the
guys do the
electrical
summary, we're fine. Good morning. Welcome to the Parks and Cemetery Committee. Today is Friday, January 5th. Present today are appointed officials, Public Works Director Troy Kruger, Finance Officer Chandra Bite My Lip Phillips. We've got Councilman Schramm and Councilman Schuyler here, along with Supervisor for the Parks and Cemetery, Marty Peterson. I'm going to turn it over to you, Troy. You guys, I think we're just going to do a year-end summary of last year's budget. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, in parks last year, Marty spent 98.78% of his budget. So parks was right on the money as far as budgeting goes. Cemetery, not the case. Cemetery spent 77% of the budget. And looking at the budget, there was three major things that came out that basically accounted for the 28% of the budget not being spent. And that was the fuel was, we spent 50% of a $7,000 fuel budget yet last year. Supplies, we spent $5,000 of a $20,000 budget line on supplies. And then there was the $10,000, which you guys have heard me ask for that to, we can't encumber that $10,000, but you guys can take that money from the general fund and put it back into cemetery. We definitely want to get the roads done in the cemetery. The reason that the roads didn't get done in the cemetery is we did not get the sprinklers completely finished. And we did get some recycle laid out there at the cemetery last fall and got it just to kind of do we kind of want to do the same process that we've done in the city, is just do bladder roads out there, just put the recycle down and then do a double chip seal over top of it. And we did do one of the roads out there last year in the fall, and it worked out really well. But the price of oil, and we didn't do a chip seal project in the city last year, so we just decided not to pull the trigger on having somebody come down and pay mobilization and the price of the oil last year just to do a couple of roads in the cemetery. We're gonna get them all done at one time. So that's kind of what, those were the three lines in the cemetery that just stuck out, so that's something that we can adjust in the future. Marty's aware of it, so I think our mowing season went pretty long last year.
Yeah, we mowed into the late October.
Yeah. I guess, we can adjust. That's one thing about budgeting in August is you never, it's hard to predict where your expenditures are going to be for the end of the year, and then to try and budget, adjust your budget accordingly. So all we can do is look at what we're spending, and Marty has one of the hardest budgets to do that for because he spends so heavily in April, May, June, July, August, and then we're budgeting, and it looks like he's going to spend a bunch of money, and then October, November, December, he hardly spends anything because he's out of his busy season. So I have a few things to talk about as far as Parks and Cemetery go. I got a call from I won't say his name, but it's a resident of Winter that owns a piece of property, and the hockey rink is quite the attraction all of a sudden. I didn't know we had hockey players in Winter, but got a lot of phone calls lately. The hockey rink is up. These guys have it constructed. They were actually flooding it yesterday, and the ground's just not frozen yet. So it'll probably make ice this weekend. It's supposed to get cold. Next week's supposed to be in the minus 4, minus 6 degree a couple of nights next week. So I'm sure it will freeze then. But we just have to wait for that cold temperatures to push the frost down into the ground so we can freeze that concrete, because right now it's just the ground that's warming the water up and it just won't freeze. I mean, I drove over there this morning, it didn't freeze at all last night. It's just liquid. There's not.
I wonder if we had thaw last night, because even my steps coming out of my house were no longer ice. is
Yeah,
what
it only got to like 33 degrees for a low last night, so it was actually raining at one time last night,
Yeah.
but. So we're working on the rink. We just need some cold weather. That's bottom line. It's not gonna freeze till it gets cold enough.
Or a refrigeration system.
Our insurance does require that we post signs that we are not responsible for accidents on there.
Okay.
So when it is ready, you need to know, I can print and laminate some for you.
Waste of money. Waste of money.
This individual that I was talking about, though, he said that he owns a lot in Sioux Falls, and he would be open to letting the city put this ice rink on this property, and then asking that the city would do improvements to have something there for year-round. So he said that there's a group of people in winter that have rollerblades, and they do the same thing in the summer that they do in the winter with, they play summer hockey. And they're looking for a place to play, and so I just told him, I said, I will bring it to council and I'll bring it up. We'll start the discussion on it. I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in or not, but that would totally be your deal. He's offering a piece of property. The city would probably have to put the concrete down, or, or if they're gonna rollerblade on it, yeah, you'd probably need a hard surface. And then the rink would be left up year-round. And then it could be used in the summer for the same purpose that it's in the winter. So I told him I'd mention it in our committee meeting, so,
You know what, though? Maybe we should check with our insurance carrier and see what kind of liability we're gonna have if we provide an ice skating rink. We should maybe know that before we get any much deeper into this. We probably should have known it before, because it could be serious.
it'll be the same thing as our playground equipment and our ball fields and everything else.
Yeah, but I don't know what the risk of these skating, of the skates themselves, people getting cut, and things like that, so.
So I have spoke to our insurance.
You have what?
I have spoke to our insurance. And ultimately, what they said is it'll be covered under your liability, just like your equipment that you have
Yep.
elsewhere out there. But the reason they're saying, because it's new, that's why they want us to post these new signs that we're not responsible for accidents. Ultimately, it is an ordinance that anytime you use our stuff, that you're not responsible. However, we've also been sued or asked for repayment for someone who went to a park for a birthday party and our cement was raised up this high off the ground and they fell and they scraped their arm.
And then we would be,
And-
that would be negligence. That's the only way we're gonna be responsible, is if we can be proven negligent.
Correct.
But if we take care of everything like it's supposed to be taken care of, but putting up a sign doesn't, all it does is,
If we say the sign is there, that helps us
Yeah.
because that helps show that we're trying to
Okay.
do what we're supposed to do.
Location, is that in a neighborhood, like a residential neighborhood, or?
It is.
Okay.
And the conversation was that he would give the city the lot.
Okay.
we need more lots.
Yeah,
Jesus
we
Christ.
need, we need more mowing.
So the only way we would
What
do
we
it is
need
if
to
we
do
could
is
cover
put
the
every
whole
lot
lot
we
with
have
concrete so we don't have to mow
I'm
it.
behind you on that one.
Right, Marty?
Huh?
I'm behind you on that one.
What did you say, Brent?
What we need to do is put every lot that the city owns up for bid and with the right to reject any and all bids.
Different
Get
bid.
rid of the damn things.
I agree.
She's got a good point. Different,
Troy, what's that?
different committee, let's focus on.
It is being worked on,
It is,
but
but-
different.
Yeah, well,
Back to this lot and this topic, this.
Neighbors okay with it, I would assume, I guess that would be.
We'd have to bring this individual, I mean, we'd have to bring him into, there would be a lot of, it wouldn't be just as easy as saying, yeah, we can do it. He kind of told me where it was at. It's right down in this area, by CCI and in that area, and I don't know if that would be a problem for the city. I mean, we have a lot of lots we don't need any more lots. If this is something that you guys want, like, I guess what I would say is if Marty found out by flooding that basketball court up there that it's not as level as it looks,
Sure.
Not at all.
Well,
Not,
sure.
not even close. So,
So you gotta put a lot of water on it to get some over here.
Yeah.
yeah,
And the deeper the water is, the harder it's gonna be for it to freeze.
correct.
Yeah. Understand.
So, you know, if this thing takes off and it's a hit, I think there's some discussion that needs to be had on where we want to do this thing as a permanent, permanent home for it, where we want to put it, where we want to do it. It would probably involve a little bit of expense on the city side to do it right and make it, and if you're going to do it, if it does take off and it is popular, like I said, we live in the banana belt. I don't know that this thing is going to be, it's just one of those things where you gotta look at, you might not have the weather to have ice for 3 years, and then all of a sudden you have a really cold year.
Yep.
So I mean, that's just something that's just talk that we'll try this, we'll see what happens. I guess we're giving you an update right now on what's going on, and then this person, there is interest in it, let's put it that way.
Yep.
So people are asking about it. We'll see how it goes this year. If we ever get it frozen and it takes off, we'll see. We'll let you know how it's going, but it
But if
is
we
up.
were gonna- if
It is
we were-
up. We flooded it. We're just waiting for the weather to make ice.
But look, if we're gonna do something permanent, like with concrete pad and everything, we should absolutely know what it would take to refrigerate the pad itself, to
Oh, yeah.
put the cooling.
Yeah,
element
absolutely. Like I
in.
said, there's gonna be some, if you wanna do it, you can do it right. There's gonna be some expense.
Yep. But
Because,
we should know that going in before we ever move a tire to level the land. We should know.
yep,
This is what it would take to have a permanent or a real ice-making structure.
and I don't think we're doing this just for hockey. I think we're doing this for the public because there are people that just wanna skate.
Sure.
I
Sure.
mean, we need to look at it that way.
Yep.
So to add to the insurance thing, because we're not providing the skates or any equipment, that's how our liability goes down. Because we're
Or
not.
stays down,
It's
okay.
their
We're
equipment.
just providing the place to do it, but
Correct.
not facilitating it, okay. But if it takes off, you're gonna have a hockey organization, and then they're gonna
Well,
end
and I
up
think that there are
having insurance.
individuals in the community that are willing to donate money towards something like that.
Yep,
Maybe we'll have an Olympic figure skating team.
I agree. I don't disagree. I mean, even in
was a
Fort Pierre
joke.
at the Expo Center,
That was humor.
they turned that into a hockey rink in the wintertime at the 4-H,
It's a beautiful
at
facility.
the Expo Center. And people come to town to watch hockey, just like basketball or football or anything. So it's something I think we should pursue. Yeah, I agree.
All right, nextly, so Paul's not here today, but him and I have had a discussion on this. I guess it's kind of operational, but it's kind of not, so I just want you guys to be aware of it, but I have talked to Paul about this. We're having a problem up at the Bass Pond with, the kids are, and I shouldn't just say kids, I don't know who's doing it. We have not, we've caught people doing it, and it's a realm of people, but the problem that we're running into is we have that, at the Bass Pond, we have that riprap that covers the north side of the pond before it overflows. And it seems like it's a really popular thing to do when the ice first forms on the lake, is to throw all the riprap out onto the ice. And they have completely, there's one spot there right by the dock, the boat landing area, that's completely bald of riprap. I just put riprap out there last summer, and they have thrown it all in the water, or all on the ice again. Don't know how to prevent this, but I did talk to Paul about it, so I would like to get some signs made up and post that. Paul said it is considered a destruction of public property. It is a finable offense.
Big time.
So I just letting you guys aware where we're going with this. It's just getting old,
Yep.
really old, and they're filling in the pond with the riprap that we
rock,
put out there. So that's kind of the other thing that's ridiculous, is that we have a tough time getting the dock in every year because the dock has wheels
'Cause they're
and it
throwing the
rolls
rock-
in.
you get the rocks,
And you
yeah.
get it in there and it's all on level, and it's because they're throwing so many rocks in the water down there that they grab rocks, they walk off the end of the dock and they throw them out on the ice, and then
So what do you-
they do that in the summertime. Then when we pull the dock out, we can't get it back in on a
Yeah.
level piece of,
So what do you think of considering a slurry of concrete poured over top those rocks? And just let it run in just like as if you were laying brick? Might be something worth looking into. Cause then, once that hardens, they wouldn't be able to pick the rocks up.
it'd be good weed control too.
I'm sorry?
It'd be good weed control too.
Yeah, I have no idea if it would work or not, but, I know there was a time when we mixed a batch of concrete that was way too wet, and we just poured it in a ditch. Shit, it just lined that ditch just nice, you know.
It'd be a lot of yards of concrete.
What's that?
It would be a lot of yards of concrete. That is a big area.
You know, I understand.
Aesthetically.
Yep.
Aesthetically, it wouldn't.
That's what I want. It almost have to be colored concrete,
Something,
said it looked
yeah,
like
it
you
would-
did it on purpose. Yeah, but I don't know.
Anyways, that's where we're going with that. So when I get the actual wordage from Paul and he's got a word,
Do we have cameras at the pond yet?
we do,
Hey,
but
camera.
they have, I've tried twice now and they've busted them out with rocks both
Ah,
times.
sons.
So it's been a real struggle to keep a camera up down there at that bass pond.
Golly.
Maybe Justin can step.
My other thing is the sidewalks around this building.
This building?
This building. I think the council needs to consider giving Shander some money to update her sidewalks around this building. There's a couple of issues. The front sidewalk out here is really busting up and it's almost becoming a trip hazard. There's pieces missing out of it and it's starting to the concrete's starting to deteriorate, so it needs to have some work done to it. And I was gonna do that this summer out of miscellaneous concrete. But the last couple winters, we've had no frost in the ground when we get these first snows, and so the ground is really soft underneath, and then we got this wet, heavy snow. And this sidewalk that runs along the north side of the building over here, and then there's a short piece up here. It's so narrow that we can't stay on it with the skid loader or the side-by-side, and so we're just leaving these really deep wheel ruts, and so then we go back in the spring and we gotta repair them and seed them. It's just, it looks bad. It's just kind of a pain. We have sprinklers right here on this stretch up here, and we've had to replace a couple of those sprinkler heads because we're hitting them with our snow removal equipment. So some of the sidewalks around this building need to be updated. I'm throwing that out there because it's kind of getting to be a pain in the butt for the Parks Department when they're doing the snow removal. This one that's over here on the south side of the building is really only a walking path. I think it's about 2.5 foot wide. You can't stay on that one at all. I mean,
The
there's,
north one's bad too.
yeah,
Is
this
there-
north one
Is
over
there
here.
grass between the sidewalk and the curb?
Yes, there's a boulevard there. So there's plenty of room.
On the north.
Get rid of the
Not-
grass.
Not
Yeah,
there.
Make the whole damn thing sidewalk from the curb over, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, we just cleaned the sidewalk off here this last week, and now they filled it all in, and they just got grass growing last year. And now it's rutted down both sides of the sidewalk again, and it's about 6, 8 inches deep, so.
You don't want to use it from your miscellaneous concrete. You want to use your budget elsewhere. You want
Correct.
her to have one.
Yeah, I'd like you guys to consider
Have you two,
Like a supplemental,
doing a supplemental budget to Shander's budget to get the sidewalks upgraded around this building.
maybe we can use some of that money Marty didn't spend in parks.
There was no money I didn't spend.
There's no money.
Cemetery.
I got it, yeah, or at cemetery, I mean.
do you know how many dollars worth we're talking about to do this?
No, I'd measure it out. I could go off of what, like what DB was charging us for flat work last year. It would be it's not gonna be like $50,000 or anything like that. I
Would
mean,
you just fill in the boulevard of grass, or would you want to do all new?
I think you'd need to put in new sidewalk. We're running on it with the skidster and There's some other, there's some pieces on this side of the building over here. I don't think you want to try and replace that whole thing, but there are some pieces that are totally falling out, so they're becoming a trip hazard, or, you know,
Yep.
somebody could step on them and they could actually give away, and had that happen a couple times in town here on Main Street, where got to be a little careful about that, especially in the winter. People step on that curb and they don't get their whole foot up on the curb, and a piece of that sidewalk comes off and down they go. But this piece right up here is getting some bad spots in it that need to be cut out and repaired. Like I said, her front part where you walk in, it definitely needs repair work done to it. It's just starting to, the surface of it is starting to deteriorate. It's showing rebar in a couple of places, so I was going to do that with miscellaneous concrete, but it's getting to look like it's a project now to get the sidewalks done around this building. The one on this side over here, I've talked to Kurt about moving that utility pole, but that utility pole's got our census, it's got the receiver for both our water and our for our water,
For our meters.
to
yeah.
bring our readings in for our meters, but we need to move that pole away from the building because we have an area there where the mowers can't, or it's really tight for the mowers and it's really tight for snow removal equipment. And we need to definitely do something different with the sidewalk there. That one's really bad over there, but this one is not any better. Like Marty said, it's only maybe 6-8 inches wider. Can't even begin to stay on it with, the only thing you could clean that with is a shovel or a walk-behind snow blower without screwing the grass up, so. With sprinklers being in there and all that good stuff.
I sure don't disagree, we just gotta find the money, and it's somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Shander should have that report. I requested that. That you guys see that this year, what Public Works didn't spend and what goes back to the general fund out of the budgets. So there's,
Can we get that, Jody? Get those numbers?
Yeah,
Because we need to move that 10,000. We need to, does that take full council?
I'd like to visit with Chandra and see how much wiggle room she's gonna have in hers. Last year, she came in over, if you remember.
Mhm.
So I don't think there's gonna be a lot. I'd like to take, my immediate thought was, I'd like to take a look at the projects that she had in the budget as capital improvements. Is there something that can go away, that we can do this because this seems like it's important, it's a need? Is there anything that's a want that can be adjusted here? If not, then get the numbers from Troy and then have
Well,
those two.
and the worst of it is, we have now acknowledged that we have a problem with safety on our
Yeah.
sidewalk. And if we choose not to fix them, okay, we're responsible because we knew we had a problem, so we need to fix them. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And making them wider so that we could move snow more efficiently is just good planning, yeah. But find the money, yeah.
And then what do we need to do to move that 10,000 back into the cemetery?
Into the cemetery, that's just a matter of encumbering it. We'll have to do that in a council meeting
That's what I was-
before
yeah.
February 2nd.
Before,
All encumbering has to be done by that first meeting in February.
And that's where you just take what we didn't spend last year, add it to this year.
and move it back into the cemetery fund?
But one of the things that we found looking at SDCL is you can't just take random money. It's gotta be stuff that was paid for at the end of last year that didn't come in because you don't pay for it until the municipality receives it.
Sure,
So it has to have been ordered, and because of shipping delays or whatever.
but that's to encumber it though.
That's to encumber.
But to do the supplemental budget, we can do that anytime we want to with any dollar amount that we think we have.
That's correct.
Right, right. So it might not be encumbering, might not be what we want to do.
You better have the money, you can't just think you have it.
We don't have the money when we do our budget. We think we're gonna get it.
It's a good point. It's true, boy.
Okay, I see your
Good
on
point.
that.
Yeah,
yeah, out of my departments, electric, water, and sewer, obviously, you're not gonna see any money go back into the general from them, because they stay in those departments, go back to cash on hand. But you got sanitation, well, no, sanitation goes back into its own one now too, but Streets, park, cemetery. Streets had, I think streets, there's gonna be $150,000 probably in public works out of those departments. That's gonna go, that went unspent. So there's a little bit of money there.
I think council is all for it, listening.
All for the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Oh, my, yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
Now we just need price quotes from DB based on footage. And I don't think we need it from him, just measure it up and we know the bid.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanna make it a project or if you wanna,
And why wouldn't
if you wanna
put
get
it
a
out
price
for
quote
bid?
just on that specifically, or if you wanna take it out of, miscellaneous concrete. Miscellaneous concrete, we can go up close to $100,000 now and not have to actually bid it out. But we're talking about the sidewalks around this building, Chandra. We have some obstacles, moving snow, and then your front porch out here is deteriorating, and then you've got some curb issues back here by that back door where,
So then I would say, it really honestly, if you're gonna move some funds, it needs to be moved into the admin building fund. And the reason I say that is because it's a capital improvement for this location, and I have to account for that. So, yeah, that's,
I wouldn't want to do it out of miscellaneous concrete. I would like to see you guys move
That's what I
move
think
the money
too.
to the, to this
Capital
facility.
improvements under the finance office,
admin.
or admin building.
That's all I got. Easy peasy. Half an hour, as requested.